Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Barnsley Brown, and I am so excited today to have in the house Erin Edgar, the caring attorney. And I have had the pleasure of knowing Erin for goodness gracious, at least 5 years now, probably longer. And I can tell you that she is the only attorney I know who has just such an attitude of service, is so humble about the work, is able to make it easy to understand, and just does, she goes above and beyond to make sure that her clients are well taken care of and have the peace of mind that you deserve to have. So, that being said, let me tell you quickly, Erin worked at Legal Aid for 11 years. That tells you the kind of heart that she has. She helped people who had all sorts of issues and were low income to get support legally. And she started her own practice 4 years ago in April, right, Erin?
Yes, full time 4 years ago in April.
Woohoo! Happy
Yay!
birthday!
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday! And Erin just is a phenomenal person. And today we're going to talk about what you don't know about wills and estate planning can hurt you, and it can hurt your loved ones. So, Erin, let me ask you first of all, how did you get interested in estate planning as a career?
I was always very interested in estate planning in law school. It was one of the things that interested me most, and I never thought it would really be a career until I had a death in my family and discovered really the pain that can happen when people's estate planning documents either do not exist or, in the case of my family, are out of date.
Mm.
It brings a lot of pain to the loved ones who are left behind who don't really know what that person wanted because their intentions were not properly documented and current. And so there
Erin,
may not
that
be
was your
evidence there.
grandmother, right?
Yes, my
Yes, I remember
grandmother.
you talking about that. And
Mhm.
and what happened with your family members? They started fighting, right?
Yes, they started fighting because some of them thought she wanted one thing and some of them thought she wanted another thing, and the will and the trust said she wanted another thing. And so they were fighting because they didn't want the will to control. They wanted their piece of the pie and the will didn't give it to them, basically.
Yeah, and
They thought she was going to give them something and she hadn't properly documented that.
wow. And that can, I mean, when that happens too, people can contest the will, right?
They can. They can contest the will. Fortunately, that did not happen in my family's situation. We were able to avert that because people were, willing to be flexible to a certain extent. But it still was very hard. And will contests are never pleasant. I had a client who said that his sister contested his mother's will and the estate was tied up in probate with that contest for a long time, and a judge basically had to rule one way or another. So it became very public and very time consuming.
Wow. And relationships ruined, right?
Yes, relationships ruined. In that
And I've
case,
seen,
they didn't speak to each other afterwards.
oh my gosh, and I've heard stories like this, and it's so sad because all of that could have been avoided if they
Hmm.
had engaged a really good attorney who could have taken care of it for them. I have to say, Erin, you've heard me talk about this, that I did my estate plan before I knew you. Otherwise, I would have
Hmm.
used you as my attorney, but I did it before I knew you. And those of you listening, I have to tell you, it was not easy. Of course, it's not an easy process, but when it was done, it was made easy by the attorney, let's say,
Hmm.
but when it was done, I felt so much better because as a single mom, I did not want to worry about my daughter and her
Hmm.
who would be her guardians. I did not want to worry about, her being taken advantage of, with properties and so forth, that I leave her. I wanted to make sure too that things went to her and not to the person I used to be married to, for instance.
Mhm.
And so I have to say, you all listening, that this is just, we do a will for other people. I certainly felt peace of mind, but we do it for our loved ones. And I've heard you say that a will is a love letter, right, Erin?
Yes, a will basically, your whole estate plan is a love letter to your loved ones, and I really appreciate the way you put that because I hadn't thought about it, but I did, I have said that before. It's basically letting them know that you love them and that you trust them to pass on that love to future generations in the form of your memory and to care for the assets that you leave them in such a way that they will be used for the things that your loved ones need. And also, you trust your loved ones to care for you when you're not able to care for yourself.
Mm,
That is a very important piece of the planning process, that lifetime need for care that everyone goes through, when they get older or even before that. That is a very important piece of the process that many people overlook.
I have heard so many stories from you and other people about those deathbed wills, right?
Oh,
Somebody rushing to the hospital
hmm
because it wasn't done.
hmm
And how sad when there's so much stress to have to scramble, for the family to have to scramble to try to take care of these things when it could all be set up ahead of time, right?
Yes, there's stress and there's also cost because attorneys who help people make these deathbed wills, first of all, it has to be written down.
Mm,
And if it's written in your own handwriting, I mean, you have to satisfy a bajillion requirements to make it acceptable here in North Carolina. And you can't
mhm,
verbally pass on much of anything in North Carolina just by telling someone about it. And
mm,
so attorneys who make these deathbed wills, they get a call from a family member. My dad only has 3 days to live,
mm.
whatever it is. They basically have to drop everything that they're doing
And so they're
and go
going to
in and
charge
do
a
this.
premium.
And they charge a premium. They charge maybe
Yeah.
3 times as much, understandably.
Understandably so, because they have to put
Mhm.
another client to the side, or multiple clients to
Exactly,
the
or
side.
multiple clients.
Mm.
And so it's to your benefit to get this done when it's not an emergency.
Right, and when you have your full faculties, correct?
Exactly.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
you can't, I mean, if an attorney shows up at the hospital, does an interview with you and determines that you don't really know who you are, you don't know who your kids are, you can't figure out what you own, basically you don't have your faculties and you can't end up making that will.
Mm.
So
And
it can be very hard.
well,
Mhm.
and this is the thing, and it's not just the will, right, Erin? It's also your directives, your healthcare directives, your
Mhm.
financial power of attorney. What are the other things that really need to be part of this so that your family members do not have to scramble when inevitably something happens to you? Because the statistics are 100 out of 100 people will die.
Mhm. Yep, we'll all die. And
You're gonna kick
60
the bucket.
and 67 out of those 100 people don't have a will when they kick the bucket.
Oh my God. Wait, 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 wait. What did you just say?
I
How many
said
people out of 100 don't have a will?
67%.
All right. Now, this is horrifying. This,
Mhm.
okay, but it doesn't surprise me because my brother didn't have a will. And 3 years ago, guess what? Only sibling, only person who could take care of this. I went through hell because of it.
Mhm.
No joke. It was such a painful process, emotionally, physically exhausting, and then I had to deal with creditors over and over and over, for months. You
Months.
know, it was really hard. And so I think, do you think people just don't get a will because it's hard to contemplate death, or do they just are ignorant, don't know about what's going to happen
I think it's
when
a
they
combination of both. I mean,
Mhm.
Napoleon Hill, one of his 6 ghosts of fear that he talks about is that fear of death.
Yeah.
And most of us want to go through life thinking that we're not going to die, even though it's more certain than taxes.
Yep.
And above and beyond that, people have expectations. Oh, well, my wife will just get everything.
Mm.
No, that is
Uh-uh.
the biggest misconception there is that I've seen, is that my spouse is just going to inherit everything, when I die, and that's not necessarily true. So, and another big misconception, getting back to that need for care, those financial and healthcare powers of attorney, is that, oh, well, if I get sick and can't manage my own money or manage my own healthcare decisions, my wife will do it, and the hospital will just honor that. And that's not necessarily
Mm.
true. And the bank will just, that's not necessarily true. So the statistic for that is slightly higher. I have seen 75% of people don't have these lifetime care documents, these powers of attorney to turn their financial and healthcare affairs over to someone.
And you need to have, if you want a DNR, a do not
Hmm.
resuscitate, you need to
Hmm.
have that. You need to, I mean, everything needs to be carefully spelled out. If you want your wishes to be taken care of, and if you don't want your family members to have to try to figure it out and fight amongst
Hmm.
themselves.
And one of the things with the powers of attorney that I will point out is one of the misconceptions I'm getting a lot lately is, I
Mm.
need this document for my mother. Well, okay, let's talk about that, because you're coming here asking for something for your mother, but the document is really about her. And so your mother needs to come and talk to me about this document. Well, she can't because she's losing her memory. Well, then, if
Mhm.
she's losing her memory, depending on the severity of that, you
Mhm.
might need a guardianship, which
Mhm.
requires the court's involvement. So your mom may
Mm.
have waited too late.
You know what? I have spoken with my mom, Erin. You know, you've heard me talk about this
Hmm.
over and over about this very issue. And here's the thing. The last thing I said to her is, Mom, I want you to understand something. If I do not have access or the uh, purview or whatever, if I don't have the
Hmm.
authority, if something happens to you, to help you financially to use your resources, then essentially I'm going to be draining all of mine and everything that would be for my daughter too. Is that what you want?
And not only
Because
that, Barnsley,
yeah,
not only that, but if
yeah,
someone needs to manage her resources and make medical decisions for her, and she hasn't appointed anyone, then you have to go to court
yeah.
and ask.
Oh my
Ask a
God.
judge, and it's long and hard and public and can
Mm.
be expensive.
You all, and I'm being vulnerable here, and Erin has been vulnerable sharing about her grandmother and the fight in her family. We're doing this because we want you to understand how very important it is for you to take care of these things. And I've heard you say, Erin, something, because you are the caring attorney, but I've heard you say something that I think is so powerful. You say, caring is preparing. Tell us about why that slogan is so important to you and to your clients.
Caring is preparing. So if you prepare these things ahead of time, I want people here to just take a second and think about, what if what if everything was all worked out? My family knew what I wanted. We've just heard all this pain that can happen, but how
Yeah.
would it feel if you
Mm.
knew with 100% certainty that on your death, everything was taken care of? You had done
Mm.
all of the preparation work, designated people, you'd gotten
Mm. Yeah.
your people to inherit, you knew who was going to make your healthcare decisions, you knew what all that was. And I have a client who told me the other day she was so happy that she prepared because
Mm.
she cared about her son and she wanted him to know that she cared about him. And she was so glad that now everything was taken care of, because if she got hit by a bus tomorrow, her words, not mine, if I get hit by a bus and I go to heaven, I know that Erin has helped me
Mm.
prepare for that happening. And my son will know that I care about him.
Mm. Wow, that is quite a testimonial right there. I know that your clients really appreciate the way that you handle their affairs. I know that you don't just do the legality part, but you also really talk with them about leaving, for example, letters for the family,
Mhm.
right, Erin?
I do. And so one of the things that I can do for people is sit down with them and help them craft letters in their own voice as much as possible to their family members, letters or videos or audio recordings,
Mm,
passing on wisdom and experiences that they want the family to remember. Not only
wow.
have you worked hard to earn money over your lifetime, and it's important to pass that on, you've also worked to gain wisdom and live life according to your values. And so, how much richer would your legacy be if you passed that on to your children so that
Oh
they
my
could
God, I'm getting
transmit
God
those?
bumps.
So that they
I'm
can
getting
transmit
goosebumps.
those. I am too, just talking
Oh my
about it.
God. Because how powerful is that? I remember when my grandmother died, I had this one little tape, and I would just, a cassette
Mm.
tape, y'all, that dates me,
Mhm.
I know. And
Mhm.
I would just listen to this thing because I just wanted to hear her voice. And
Mhm.
what a service you're providing for those people who want to do an audio recording or a video or a letter or all three, or maybe even a photo book. Oh my God, Erin, this is beautiful. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's bringing tears to my eyes. So I'm conscious as we talk about all this of the time that's
Mhm.
here. And there's something that I really want everyone here to know about Erin in case you don't. And that is, not only is Erin a kick-ass lawyer, but she also happens to be blind. And what I love about you, Erin, I never think of you differently than anybody else. But what I love when I hear you talk about special needs children who
Mhm.
are maybe really children or adult children, and how you love especially working with those families, not just everybody who needs a will and estate plan, but you love to
Mhm.
also work with the special needs families. Tell us more about that and why that's so important to you as part of
Sure.
your mission.
And in brief, so working with that group of people is really important because, and they're overlooked socially. We don't think about
Mm,
them, and they receive government benefits. In some cases, they rely on that to live.
mm,
And so, one of the things that is tagged with, I mean, benefits always come with a price. So, if you receive an inheritance and you get Medicaid for healthcare, and you need that Medicaid, you've got to have your medicine, right? um, is that you may have those benefits suspended if you receive an inheritance because the theory is, well, you've got money now, you can pay for this stuff.
mm.
And you're told you either have to spend it down in 30 days or you're not going to be allowed to have these benefits continue until it's spent down. And so one of the things that happens is that people don't know that. And
Mm,
also, people with these special needs require sometimes a lot of care. And people will say, well, my sister will just care for them. Sister does not know how much care is involved and may not be able to, may be resentful. So, all of
mm.
this adds up to these folks not having the quality of life that they deserve as human beings on this planet.
Oh,
And
wow.
I am just very passionate about helping families understand what's involved so that they can provide for their children, loved ones, in a way that does not require that they lose their benefits and also provides that quality of life for them. And just really quickly, I will also state that one of the
This is
services
so
I
powerful, Erin. And
Mhm. Hello? Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
I think
Hello?
we lost you for a second. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can.
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Okay, great. So the last thing you were talking about, not having them lose their benefits, and I think this is so powerful. And you all remember, when
Mhm.
we're talking special needs, that can include somebody who has maybe developmental delays. It can be mental health challenges. It can be a physical challenge. I mean, it can be that can special needs can apply to many different situations. Someone who has
Mhm.
memory loss, so this, Erin, I think is just beautiful, and it's something that you bring, because you really understand how important it is for people to have the quality of life that they deserve.
Absolutely. Because it's something I experienced growing up myself. I was told I would never be able to work. I was told,
Mhm.
all these things by sort of well meaning teachers, or I'd never be able
Mm.
to participate. And my parents did everything they could to provide me everything I needed to get the education I needed and the technology I needed to live life to the fullest. And so my mission is to give that back wherever I can.
Oh, Erin, I'm just getting chills as you say that. What a beautiful mission you have, and you are the caring attorney. And I love how you have taken your story and your experience of being born without sight, and you have turned that into something that helps all of us, and especially those families who have people with special needs too. You have a special place in your heart for them. So, Erin, very quickly, how do people reach you? And I know that you have a complimentary session, right? What's the
Yes.
name of the session?
So the session is entitled the Protect You and Yours consultation. Um, and it can last, it's usually about 20 to 30
Mhm.
minutes. And
Okay.
what we do is I get to know you a little bit. You can tell me a little bit of your story, why you're calling, why estate planning is important to you. And we talk about how I may be able to help based on your story that you tell me. And so if you would like to contact me, would you like me to provide that information?
Yes, Erin, please just tell
Sure.
them your website so they can
Mhm,
reach out. And again, you all will definitely want to get your complimentary Protect You and Yours session. I love the name
mhm,
of it, Erin, because that's
mhm.
what you do. You protect people and their families.
Exactly. And it's also worth noting that my website is erinedgarlegal.com. Um, and my telephone number is 919-807-1863. So those are the best ways to get in touch with me and schedule your consultation. There is a form right on my website where you can schedule it.
So Aaron Baker, no, Aaron Edgar Legal.
Dot
Is that right?
com. Yes.
.com.
Hmm.
Aaron Edgar, EDGAR,
Edgarlegal.com.
legal.com, and give your business line again.
It's 919-807-1863.
Okay, everybody, what an opportunity to get some peace of mind and to make sure that you're prepared. And as Erin shared earlier, preparing is caring. Erin,
Indeed.
thank you so much for coming on here and sharing about what we don't know and how that can actually hurt us and hurt our families. I know that everybody listening has been given a lot to think about. And I know they don't want to be one of those 67 out of 100 people who are not prepared. They don't want to do that to their families. So I
It's been my
hope that,
pleasure.
yes, thank you so much, Erin. And you all listening, make sure you go grab your Protect You and Your session at erinedgarlegal.com. Thanks, Erin.
Thank you, Barnsley.